So, are you still carrying the banner? I mean, I don't think you can want to throw a guy out for losing to a UCLA, but also Penn State's aspirations and gosh, I can't think of the word. When you want to do something really bad, they're not like other people. So Penn State has a little bit of a different set. You want to keep him?
So, all right, I will answer that, but first let me say this. All right, there is, yeah, you're right. There is an expectation
Yes.
for the talent that is able to be brought in, right? Um, that you are going to be performing at a consistently high level, perhaps even elite level. And while I'm very grateful that we win almost every game we're supposed to win, right, except for last week, the games that you know are going to be challenging, the marquee games, the Ohio States, the Michigans, the Oregons, right? These kinds of games. You want to win some of them, and he really has not been able to do that. I mean, we have not beat Ohio State, I think, since 2015.
Sounds right.
So that's the kind of thing that wears on you after a while. And and I know it wears on alums, and that's not. And look, I know how fan bases are. I'm an alum, and it's frustrating. But I try to remind myself he's run a clean program. Now that the playoff is 12 teams, he would be there regularly. We're almost always at least in the hunt or peaking very close, right? We typically don't aren't really really strong for 2 or 3 years, then collapse into nothingness for a while, right? So I've been a fan of Franklin in spite of that for a long time. Now, the Oregon game happens, and we're all frustrated at that because, we made a run to come back at it, and we thought we had a shot. And we're like, okay, it happened again. Fine, we'll get over it. We'll go out to California and get healthy against UCLA. Wow. Wow. I mean, you talk about just punch in the gut. 0-14 beats you. An 0-14 beats a top 10 team for the first time since the mid 1980s.
Yep.
Are you kidding me?
Yep.
Um, so it's one of those things where, man, if it hadn't happened right after the Oregon game, maybe you wouldn't have as much of an uproar. But dude, back to back like that, that's tough. So here's what I will say. I like Coach. I really, really do, man. I really, really do. But there's only so far you can go. I There's a lot of people who are seniors on this team, right? And as I said, there's also been a lot of turnover in the coordinator's position.
Sure.
And there's a lot of blame to be go there. But at the end, he is the head coach. I mean, and he understands this, right? He understands this. The kids play hard for him, right? The running back core is fantastic. I like Drew Aller, but the offensive line has struggled, and you can see it in Drew Aller's play. He is not confident back there. When he's confident, he's great. But the offensive line doesn't give him the confidence he needs. You saw how much, if you watched the game, how much he's had to run the last 2 weeks. And that's not what you want from a Drew Aller. Right? That's not what you want from him. He'll do it when he has to, but that's not what you want from him. So my sense is that this will be the last straw. It was back to back like this, and then losing to UCLA. I mean, yes, oh yes, it was on the road. It's in California. Yes, fly across the country. That's fine, but that's not an excuse at this level. There's too much talent. So my thinking is this: because I was talking to a friend of mine, another fellow alum yesterday, and she knows some people that are up there. They've got deep pockets. She's like, Sean, there's so many alums who are happy to pony up and pay that buyout.
Right.
She's like, we know alums. I mean, she's not one of them, but she knows people. Her husband's in the Penn State Alumni Club in New York City, so they do know a few folks with deep pockets. And she's like, there's no question that they're willing to ante up for this. And I'm like, yeah, I think it's coming. So my sense is this. I don't think you fire a coach in the middle of the season. I
No,
think
no,
that's
no, no.
wrong. It is very wrong. I think it's disrespectful to the players who, especially since there are so many seniors, right? Um, but I do think that unless something bizarre happens, he runs the table. He gets into the top 12 in the playoff, and he runs it, right? Then that's it. That's it. We're going to be looking for somebody else next year. Now, I don't know. I don't know who that's going to be. One of the problems I have is like, it's fine. You get rid of Franklin. Who are you going to bring in? Who are you bringing in? I don't know. I have no idea who you're going to bring in, right? So that's the other thing I have with Coach. I love James Franklin. I love the way that the team play hard for him, right? But yeah, I'm like a lot of alums. Like, why are you going for two here? This is silly.
Right.
Well, there are frustrations. There are frustrations, but I do have these moments, Bob, when like I'll say something like that, but then I have to step back and go, you know what? I'm not on the team. I'm not making decisions day to day. I'm not at the practices every day. It's like when somebody says, Sublette, why do you say it was going to be sunny? Like, well, I see the data every day, man. You don't see the data every day. So I'm not in the trenches with him every day. So I've tried to give him some grace for a very long time. But this is a tough one, man. This is a tough one.
So here's what my gut tells me. And obviously you know more than me, but I think at the end of the day, if I'm reading the bottom line or I get a sports alert at the end of the season that says James Franklin and Penn State have mutually agreed to part ways or something like that, I wouldn't be shocked because
I think that is the most likely
right.
scenario right now. I agree. I agree.
And I think at some point, or I don't know where he goes to coach, but I think obviously, look, I mean, somebody's going to have a place for James Franklin. I'm not talking about like, with all due respect, like not like Delaware or something, but some, like a USC, a UCLA, Oklahoma State, something like that. But at the end of
Agree.
the day, I mean, I think the black mark has been there for a while. Can he win the big games? And there is no proof of that so far.
I mean, he's got one, I think, Big Ten championship.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
look. Let's not pretend that it's not difficult. There's 18 teams in this division now.
sure.
But you're having trouble with Ohio State. You're having trouble with Michigan. These are, you know, these are these are the big dogs, right? You've got to at least be competitive there, right? You can't lose to Ohio State every single year. Even when Michigan wasn't at their best, they knocked off Ohio State a couple of times. Yes, those were upsets, and I know those are rivalry games. That's a different beast, and I get that. But man, you've got to find a way to do it once in a while, and he has it, and he knows it. He knows it.
How were basketball games when you were at State College?
So basketball games when I was there were still in Recreation Hall, which was like 7,500 seats. It was an ancient gymnasium. I think was built in the 20s, 1920s. They were building the Bryce Jordan Center while I was in grad school there. I mean, I've got photos of me on the IM fields playing softball and soccer in an incomplete stadium in the background, an incomplete Bryce Jordan Center in the background. So it's one of those things that I've always wanted to be excited about the basketball team, but I just never have been. It's the football is so pervasive there, and we've never really gotten multiple years that the basketball team is strong. And
It
I
hasn't
would
been
love it to be
Texas,
different.
you know.
Right,
So,
right. I
so
would
go
love
ahead. I
a
didn't mean to
stronger
interrupt.
basketball
Yeah,
team. I love a stronger basketball team, but it's one of those things that I'm going to be 56 years old this fall, man. I've been a Penn Stater for 35 years, and call me when you're serious.
well, while we were talking, wanted to say I did look up some great Penn State alums, and I don't know if Tony Sacca gets the call.
Oh my gosh, Tony Stackett. When he started, I forget how he started, because he was a freshman.
Right.
I think there was an injury, and he had to start, and people would call the game, and they would always say, freshman Tony Sacca. It wasn't Tony Sacca, it was freshman Tony Sacca, because this is unprecedented. We're talking about starting a freshman at quarterback, because he kind of had to. He had no other choice. I forget exactly the sequence of events now, because it's been so long. But
Well,
yeah,
I
oh
don't
my
think he gets the
gosh.
job. Just going on a hunch. Without
Yeah,
getting, go ahead.
I mean, I love Michael Robinson because he's
Right.
also a Verona guy like I was. I didn't play football, obviously, but I thought Michael Robinson was great, man. And he still lives here in Richmond. But he's not doing media stuff. He's fantastic. He was such a good representative of Metro Richmond and of the school. Just love Michael Robinson, man.
Well, and before we get to what you're doing now, I mean, that's the thing. To me, if you look at back in the Tony Sacca days, for instance, and days like that, you could recruit by saying, hey, we're a school that's on TV every week, blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what? Those days are long gone because everybody's on TV. Everybody's got the digital media presence. I mean, you can't use that as a reason anymore. Hey, come here. Hey, we play in a big stadium. Well, so do a lot of other people. And I'm not trying to knock Penn State when I say that, but I don't know what the recruiting luster can be for a 80s blue blood anymore that other people at least couldn't use. I mean, maybe not to the level, but everybody's on TV.
No, I agree with that. I mean, and the other part now was the transfer portal.
Yep.
I mean, this is for me, being an older guy, just kind of watching this happen now in these last few years. It's really just mind numbing. I mean, it used to be a big deal when somebody transfers. Now, it's just transfer portal, no big deal. There's still some luster. There's still, I think, a love of Coach Franklin, at least for players, and
Sure.
he can get players excited to come play for him, as opposed to like a Harbaugh. Come on,
Yeah.
and so who are clearly in this for themselves to make a mark and move on. And I do respect Franklin a lot for this. He could have just taken off after 2 years. He didn't.
Sure.
He didn't. Right. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
I like Coach. I'd hate to see him go, because then what happens? I mean, you're rolling the dice. You know what you got, and it's not exactly what you want, but then you're rolling dice, and like, our kid's going to come up and play for this guy, whoever it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's funny because it seems like Ryan Day was on the hot seat at Ohio State
Mm-hmm.
because he didn't beat
Mm-hmm.
Michigan. He wins a natty, and you don't hear those things anymore. So I mean, things can be
Right.
fixed, but it's going to be hard, I think, to quote unquote fix things. And back to Penn State real quick before we talk about what you're doing now. I know I've said that before, but you look at probably the greatest coach in the history of Penn State and one of the greatest coaches in the history of college football, Joe Paterno. You wonder, like, the older people, I think, would have still been diehard, like Dabo talks about. I'm going to recruit high school. I'm going to recruit those 5 stars. Well, unfortunately, times have changed. I don't like them any more than the next guy, but you've got to recruit that portal, I think. Probably even more important than making the trip to Verona.
I suspect you're right. I mean, the game has just changed so much in the last 10 years.
Yep.
I mean, you and I of a certain age, we kind of dreamt that one day maybe we'll actually have a playoff. And then it showed up, right? And now it's expanded. And I like the playoff format. It's not perfect. Never's going to be perfect, right? But I like it. I think it adds something to the game. I, I frankly do not like the transfer portal. I think if you doing NIL stuff, I think it's fine, but then don't have the transfer portal, right? I mean, I want the kids to make money off of their likeness. I think that's only fair in this day and age, right? But don't be just jumping around. It's too much change too fast for me. I'm an old guy, and I get it. But just what's happened in the last 10 years is not good for the game. And we've heard a couple of coaches talk about that.
Right.
Right? Was it even? Oh shoot, Alabama dude,
Nick
just
Saban?
retired. Yeah, even Saban
Yep.
said that, right? And I was as tired as everybody else of Alabama winning. I was tired. Like, come on, somebody please beat Alabama, right? But you have to begrudgingly respect what he's done, what he did, right? What he did there, and props to him.
Sports is better when you have a villain to shoot for at the top.
This is true. This is true.
And the other thing, I think, what are we teaching our kids when a kid goes to 3 different schools, can play football the whole time,
Yeah.
So